Hey there, boys and girls! Another day, and here we are with another read aloud for our Wonders unit. This time, we're reading a story about insects. Love them, hate them, however you feel about them. They're around, and they're super helpful. So we're going to learn a little bit about insects and how fiction and nonfiction books look differently depending on what you're reading about. So we are going to jump into insects, animal classification. Insects is the name of our story today. It's by Erica Donner. So I'm really excited. Let's get into it. Okay. Lots of legs. Look, what is that? All right, so if we take a peek at some of the animals that we're seeing, or some of the insects that we're seeing, these insects look somewhat familiar, right? We know of animals that have antennas like this, and we can see their eyes, we can see their little pinchers, but we know that this is an ant. An ant is a kind of insect. We can just take a look at, like, really close up at it, right? You have your head, thorax, abdomen, and look at the legs, everything about it, really cool. And so this is one of the things about nonfiction text that's really, really awesome. Like we know, because we've learned before, fiction means that it's fake, it's not real, it's fantasy. Nonfiction means that it's definitely real, this could totally happen. This is probably informational, which means it's trying to tell us something or tell us about something. So if we look at this ant, this is a real picture of ant. It's not a cartoon. It's not something fake. This is real. And so this is really cool for us to take a peek at, because typically when we look at ants, they're so itty bitty bitty small that it's really, really hard to tell anything about them. So I always enjoy looking at informational text to learn a little bit more. Like, look over here. I had no idea that ants had hair. Pretty crazy, right? So being able to take close-up looks at animals that typically we wouldn't be able to see is one of the great benefits of nonfiction texts. So really cool. I mean, even the body of the ant, so neat, right? So different than what we're used to seeing. So here is something else I really am excited to show you guys. When you're reading nonfictional text, a lot of times you'll also see a lot of things called labeling. And labeling is this stuff, when it uses little arrows and bubbles to kind of show you the different parts of something. Last week, you guys pretty much did that with when we talked about metamorphosis, and also when we talked about the different parts of a butterfly, right? So this is exactly the same thing. We're looking at the real head, thorax, and abdomen of an ant. So it's showing us this is the head, this is the thorax, and this is the abdomen. And you guys have even in class used cutting and pasting to label things before. So this should be pretty much old news to you guys. So how can you tell? Look at its body. An insect body has 3 parts. So we said a head, a thorax, and an abdomen. Once again, I think it's really cool to look at these pictures close up, because you see so many fun things about ants that you didn't know. I had no idea they were so furry in certain parts of their body, right? Look how, like, their color. When we look at ants, really, for the most part, they're like black. We don't really notice much else about them. But if you really take a good look at this ant, he's all different colors, right? He's got some dark, blackish brown up top, but then he fades into like this orangey, reddish brown in the middle, and then he fades back, but his hairs are like a blonde color. So it's really cool to take a deeper look at some of these insects and what they really look like. So let's keep going. A wasp is an insect too. Look at its legs. Insects have 3 pairs of legs. So it doesn't mean they have 3. That means they have 3 pairs. When you say pairs, it means group. So 1, 2. They've got 2, 2, 2. 3 legs, right? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So 6 legs in all. That's a lot of legs. You can run pretty fast with a lot of legs like that. So, and even I like looking at this picture. Look at how like they're getting into that fruit, really getting all that sweetness out of it to take it back to their queen. I mean, you don't get to look at wasps this close. That's why these books are so great. But they have two pairs of legs. 3 pairs of legs. Ugh, words. So you have 3 on each side. And even looking at the colors of this wasp. Nature's so cool. The different stuff that you can see in it. All right. Insects lay eggs. Look! Fly eggs. Ugh. Soon they will hatch. Here's a close-up of a fly. Those pesky flies that fly around our food at picnics and maybe get stuck in our house once in a while. That's what they really truly look like. Have you ever seen the movie A Bug's Life? That's what they remind me of. They sit there like this, rubbing their little hands together. So here we see that label again, and that label's telling us these are the fly's eggs. And they're kind of gross looking, to be honest. Not sure what they're really chilling in. They're a little long. They kind of remind me of like balloon animals. You know, like when you blow a balloon and it kind of gets like that. But so flies do lay eggs. Pretty neat. Insects have hard bodies. Why? Their skeletons are on the outside of their bodies, which is amazing. Think about it. If your bones were on the outside of your body, think of all the things you could do. They're pretty strong, right? So insects use their bodies on the outside to keep them protected. Like, look at this guy. He's got like serious protection on him. He's got this cool horn. It's really hard material that goes on the top, and then he's a little soft underneath. But even his legs look really tough, right? They need that. They need that for gripping. They need that for protection. So it's important, but who knew, right? Insects have antennae. Look, antennae help a moth sense things. So we know butterflies also have those, right? They're like those little things up top that kind of move around like this. And a lot of the animals do. Even ants, we saw in one of the beginning pictures, is they have these little things that kind of help them feel and see what's in their way. And this is a really cool picture of a moth because, once again, who knew moths look like this, right? Super furry. You can see his really big eyes. And then his antenna, which the label is showing us, is right here. And look how cool his antennae are. He has like these cool feathery antennae. But yeah, especially moths, they fly around at nighttime for the most part. And so they need their antenna to help them kind of navigate where they're going. Sort of like bats, when we learned about bats way back when. They use something a little different. They use echolocation. But this is something similar, right? It allows them to kind of sense and feel where different things are. Might even help them find some food. So, very cool. I just love looking at this moth because moths are like, they get a bad rep. They're not as pretty as butterflies. And so when you look up really close to them, like, come on, that's so cool. He almost looks like he's made out of like pipe cleaners or something. He's so fuzzy, and his colors are so bright. But yeah, moths don't get a really good rep all the time, but they're really cool looking. Once again, another reason why I love informational texts. Some insects hop. A cricket is an insect. So here we have a cricket. And look how strong. Like his legs are super duper skinny, but he can use them to hop really far distances. If you've ever seen a cricket or any kind of hopping insect, they can go pretty far just on a hop. So they must have a lot of muscles in those legs. Some insects fly. A bee is an insect. So we know that quite a few insects have wings. And even I think crickets, I believe that is his wing or his pair of wings to help them fly around and get from place to place. But we definitely know bees do because that's like their main form of transportation, right? Using their wings to help them fly from flower to flower. Some insects swim. A water beetle is an insect. Ugh! I have seen a lot of water beetles in the pool and just around like wet areas. They kind of tend to creep me out. I'm not a big fan, but they are pretty cool to look at. I mean, look at him swimming. You can see all the bubbles coming off of him, and look at his different antennae that he has, and his little legs going. You can see the little individual hairs on his legs, which are really cool. So it is pretty neat. I also think of some other insects that can swim. There's those little, I don't know what they're called, but they're the ones that go on top of the pond, and they kind of look like they're ice skating. And then they also have, do you ever see pincher bugs? If you have like a little pool in your backyard and you leave the water in it for a while, sometimes you'll get pincher bugs, and they just like water, I guess. So got to be careful with those, but they're cool. Some bugs that can swim are pretty cool. They got to be careful of fish, though. I'm sure fish like to gobble them up from time to time. Insects are cool. I just know. And once again, here, look. This is not a butterfly. This is a moth. And same thing, looking at its colors, like, it's so interesting that moths get such a bad rep for not being beautiful, but look at all these different colors that they have on this moth. Like, and we talked about how they use camouflage, butterflies, and moths do the same thing, right? They can still get eaten by like owls and other birds and insects, and other different animals. Bats like moths and other insects. So they have to be really clever and using these beautiful patterns that they have, like these little ruffles on the bottom that almost look like owl feathers. Or you look at the big old circles, look like eyes. And then they use some bright colors to tell different predators, like, hey, I might look good, but I don't taste good. So it's pretty interesting what all these different colors, combinations, and patterns mean in the wild. Pretty cool. So insects are very, very neat. All right, and then we're going to just do this little bit. What makes an insect? So in order to be considered an insect, you need to have antenna, and insects have two antennae, which they use to sense their environment. So like we said, it helps them get from place to place, helps them figure out if food's near. They're really, really useful tools. Maybe we should invest in some for ourselves. That'd be kind of cool. They also need to have wings. So some insects have wings. Most winged insects have two paired sets of wings. So they'll have some up top and some below. And we learned that with butterflies too, right? Very cool. You can see that grasshoppers or crickets' wings right there. Skeleton. Insects have skeletons on the outside of their body. So in order to be considered an insect, you need to have your skeleton on the outside of your body. So we don't count because our bodies have our skeletons inside. But still, very cool. Like you can tell, they're called exoskeletons. And so you can see they're so hard and like made of this really strange, tough material, just like our bones would be, right? So it's really interesting to see that on the outside of their bodies. And then they have to have legs. Insects have 6 legs. In order to be an insect, you need to have 6 legs. That's why our friends, the spiders, are not considered insects. Fun fact, they're actually considered arachnids because they have 8 legs. So you need to have 6 legs to be an insect. And they're grouped in 3 pairs of 2. So 2 up top, 2 in the middle, 2 in the bottom. And there you go. And we can go over this little picture glossary real quick. So these are some of the words that we saw throughout the text that maybe we didn't have great definitions for. And so you can always go to your picture glossary in the back of the book. That'll show you what you were looking at and then give you the word and the definition for it, which is really, really helpful. So this is a beetle, and we talked a little bit about a beetle, and most of us have seen a beetle before. It's a group of insects with 2 pairs of wings, one of which is stiff and covers the second pair. See, didn't know that. Then we have the word hatch, and it has a picture of the fly's little balloon eggs that kind of gross me out. It means to emerge from an egg, which we kind of knew. Cricket, a leaping insect related to the grasshopper. Males use their wings to chirp, and we've heard those chirps before, right? If you go out at nighttime, maybe sitting by your fire pit or just taking a nice leisurely stroll down the street, you might hear the little chirp, chirp, chirp of a cricket, and that's what you're hearing. You're hearing him rub his little legs together and make those and wings and make those really cool sounds. And then the last one is sense, to become aware of through the senses, such as smell, taste, and touch. So the moth uses the antenna to sense things that are around, right? It's really cool that they're able to do that. Like I said, I'm going to invest in a pair of antennae, I think. I think I would look really cool with them. Maybe you would too. Give it a try. And so that is the end of our book for the day. If you're ever interested in checking out some other classifications, other like mammals, reptiles, amphibians, birds, fish, you can always hop onto Epic, where I got this book from, and you can take a peek and see if there's anything that maybe piques your interest to learn a little bit more about. Check out the labels, check out all sorts of things that are great with nonfictional books that you can use. And I think you guys will really, truly enjoy it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this story today. I hope you're walking away from it with a lot of great information that maybe you didn't know before. Maybe you knew some of it. Either way, I hope you enjoyed it. And I can't wait to see you guys soon and see all your responses on Flipgrid for your question. I can't wait, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye, guys.